Hey guys, it's Chris. Welcome to the Nerdist Podcast. All right, quick little business up top. Just want to tell you the Nerdist Podcast Live, June 10th at Largo in Los Angeles with Craig Ferguson is going to be super-tastic amazing, and you can go to Nerdist.com and find out how to get tickets for that. Largo only gave us a handful of tickets to sell online at the price of $20, and we're almost out of those, so if you want the $20 ticket price, go on right now and get them. Otherwise, you'll have to call Largo and pay their normal ticket price of $25. I know, $5 more, but it'll be worth it. All right, so let's get down to this episode. This is Matt Walsh. We recorded this a little while ago. I had accumulated so many recordings at once that I just kind of staggered them over the next couple months. Matt Walsh is a founding member of the Upright Citizens Brigade, or UCB, as it's known to people who like to shorten things. He's a founding member, along with Matt Besser and Ian Roberts and Amy Poehler. And not only is Matt Walsh one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet, but he is also one of the most amazing improvisers you will ever see. So if you get a chance to see him perform live, I suggest you do it. All right, enough business. Please enjoy the Nerdist Podcast number 18 with Matt Walsh.
Now entering Nerdist.com.
Lots of cool fixtures and green and green ripoffs and stuff like that.
Is it better than IKEA? Would you say?
You know, it's like the thing is, IKEA you get variety, shitty variety. Not the variety's not shitty. It's just what the variety is consisting of.
Welcome to Guys Talking About Furniture.
I love furniture,
but not how to build it.
No, oh God, no.
No.
Never.
Well, they say we aren't nerdy enough, so now let's talk about furniture.
Does he need to lean closer to the microphone?
Yes.
I don't know how
talking
how's he
into
sound?
the microphone.
Is he coming in fantastic?
How about
you have an amazing projection.
I do have a
The
good
stage,
voice.
because you come from the stage.
I have a natural
You come from the
timbre.
stage where microphones are right in your face, right? Isn't that how they do it in the theatre?
Exactly.
Theater.
I heard this. I think I already told this story on the podcast, so I'm not going to tell it again. It was the James Gandolfini, Jeff.
Foxworthy?
Yes, James Gandolfini and Jeff Foxworthy.
Oh, Jeff Davis?
Starring in
Blue Collar Mobsters.
Blue Collar Mobsters.
This is a great movie.
That's right.
Great movie.
So, you want me to whack this prick?
You might be a mobster.
If you shoot a stoolie in the eye with a spear gun.
You might be a mobster.
No, I already told the story. Anyway, so it's not important. But Matt Walsh is our guest on the podcast today. We're
He's clapping for himself.
coming to you.
I thought there were going to be more intros.
They didn't know that.
I wasn't really just hitting
You're just
my
going to
own.
roll into it?
Yeah. Keep going.
We are coming to you from my house, which is nice. It's a nice day outside.
It's a nice
beautiful.
day.
You guys, do you live on this? Do you live on this side?
I live
of
on
town?
that side of the hill. I live like
other side of the
Valley Village.
Nice Valley Village.
Valley
Very
Village.
quiet.
It's going to
Valley
be great
Village
today.
is nice. It's
It is.
super neighborhoody.
It is. Yeah, we know our neighbor. It's like one of the few places I've been in LA where there's like 5 families and we kind of know each other. It's great.
I bet Halloween is pretty spit.
Halloween, we go to the nicer neighborhood, which is south of Magnolia.
Oh, gotcha.
It's not very friendly for Halloween for some reason, but the good candy's just south of us.
Well, what's your address? Our listeners will come.
no.
What? I don't understand why you.
Laurel Canyon and Chandler is close enough.
Okay.
For those.
Just hang around there. You might see him.
Could I be more of a street?
It is a crazy street with its weird in-betweeny thing.
It used to be the railroad, actually.
Yeah.
Chandler used to be a railroad that ran all the way out, maybe to the ocean, and then they turned it into a bus line. So they tore out the rails, and they put one of the most successful bus lines in the country.
It's true. It's the
is
orange line.
The orange line.
Yes.
It goes right to the North Hollywood stop, and then everybody can go downtown.
And everyone's going to be like, North Hollywood, keep driving.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they keep going.
But it gets used. It's like very encouraging for LA as far as
It's
mass
amazing.
Yeah,
that-
for
that-
transportation.
At one
Yeah.
time, LA did have an amazing transportation system, and then it just went away.
Yeah, didn't the rubber industry kind of make some payoffs, or like the tire companies and the GM? They
Yes.
basically
No,
bribed
GM
officials
did. Yeah.
to tear out the
The
trolley
trolley,
cars.
And the death of Huntington, the guy who put in most of the rails throughout the city. Like, he was the guy that made rails go to Long Beach and then out to...
I thought it was Judge Doom who wanted to plow through Toontown.
Yes.
Did it sound just like this? Wasn't that how the freeways got built?
Yes.
And Roger Rabbit.
That's how the
came in?
101 got
What?
built.
Yeah, Roger Rabbit.
That's the...
Yeah.
solved it.
That's how it was.
That's how the 101 got built, but the 405 is a completely different fucked up story. If you see Cool World, you'll see what happens when the 405 gets built.
Basically, all of LA's freeway systems were tune related.
Yes, well,
That's all
hybrid tune, live action related.
You know what blows
Song
me-
of the South, that's the 110.
Oh, is
Can't
that
think
why
of
they?
another hybrid.
Is that why they called that the Tar Baby Freeway? Song of the South.
Zippity doo dah.
I didn't make that up, Jonah.
No, I
That's what it's
know.
called in the movie.
I know.
It's
I
not
don't
me
know.
being racist. It's Disney.
You ever see that? You ever see that? There's a documentary that the BBC did on Walt Disney talking about how horrible of a person he was.
Really?
Yeah, it's
How
on
much
YouTube.
he hates Jews? Like,
Yeah, like how much he just hates everybody. Like, and how like during the animator strike, he would roll up in his car and then just like try and figure out which each guy was and take names down.
Put him on his
Put 'em
blacklist.
on, yeah.
Inspect their head for horns. No, Mickey, the Jews don't. It's not how it works at all. I don't. What's amazing is that Walt Disney, the famous Disney signature, is not actually his signature. He hired an artist to design him an aesthetically pleasing signature,
He could
and then he
barely
learned it.
draw Mickey.
And then he
He could
learned
barely
it.
even draw Mickey Mouse. Like,
Really?
His drawings of Mickey Mouse, like people would always ask, like, "Could you draw me Mickey Mouse?" And it's just the
And he'd go,
crudest-
"Fuck you, Jew."
Yeah, exactly.
Whoa. Not even-
Did he do the first Steamboat Willie? Like, was he responsible for that, or did he hire that
No,
one
he was
out?
he was like just a crazy awesome businessman. Like he
Okay.
made it happen. He produced it, but like the adorableness came from like,
Chester J.
guys
Lampwick.
sweating in Los Feliz. in those
doesn't he
little
have
bungalows.
like 50 Oscars too?
Yeah, he's
Yeah, those little bungalows down on Griffith
behind-
Park Boulevard.
yeah,
There's
that's where
some
the old Disney
bungalows.
Studios were.
Yep.
Where at?
It's right off of Hyperion, right behind the Gelsons there. There's like the original Disney Studios, which are now just like bungalow apartments.
Really?
They're
Yeah,
really
that's like-
amazing.
Yeah, it's really cool. You drive by, and there's a plaque I think that says what they were.
It says
but-
"No Jews Allowed," which
Yeah,
was
it's-
set forth as part of
part of
his
Disney.
leaving it to the.
Mixing
Yes.
blood is wrong.
his
Here
favorite
on Disney Ranch.
Well, when he was doing Little Hitler cartoons,
Those were cute.
I mean, adorable.
Yeah.
Adorable Hitler driving the little boat and then doot, 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 and walking through the city with the dancing buildings, like goose stepping, to be fair. But very well done. Horrible
Yeah.
to humanity,
The message,
but
yeah.
gorgeously done.
Message was there.
When you watch Roger Rabbit again, first of all, movie totally holds up still, in
Yeah.
my opinion. But what is amazing to me is now that just knowing what I know about the business, now that I've been working in it for so long, having all of those different brands come together in one
amazing.
movie will never happen again.
Yeah.
Never. I mean, like, you see Warner Brothers and Disney and King Feature, like all these.
I was when I watched that movie, that's exactly the thought I had whenever it came out. I was like, how did they do this? How did they negotiate this like friendly alliance between Warner Brothers and Hanna-Barbera, whoever else appeared in there?
Blue Minds is like, doesn't like Bugs talk to Mickey near the end?
Yeah.
They're all together. It's like all of them come out together at the end when they.
Yeah, he was like, oh, he was a toon, huh?
Yep.
Yeah.
And then they thwart the plan, but then it doesn't explain how the plan ends up
That was
happening
back
anyway.
when Robert Zemeckis did stuff that wasn't motion capture.
Yep.
What was he
Oh,
do?
right.
Yeah, he directed that, yeah.
He did a Polar Express, right?
Yeah.
Oh my God!
and
I
the
couldn't
Christmas
really watch
Carol.
Polar Express because of
Everything looked kind of like
everyone
Tom
looked
Hanks.
dead. Everyone looked like those
Yeah.
old Victorian Memento Mori dead pictures, where
Yeah.
everyone's like had dead eyes because
Yeah.
they were dead. Tom
Yeah.
Hanks. Hey kids, let's all get on the Polar Express
Hot chocolate.
forever. Like it was just so creepy.
Robert Zemeckis' episodes of Tales from the Crypt were some of my favorites.
They are good, yeah.
he has really good ones. Like the Crazy Santa, the Crazy Santa guy.
I didn't see it.
That's good stuff.
Yeah.
Tales from the Crypt, good show.
Yeah.
By the way, maybe we didn't mean to not talk about Matt Walsh and what you're up to.
No, it's okay.
Matt Walsh, founding member of the Upright Citizens Brigade, which is arguably the hottest comedy scene on both coasts.
Yeah.
Now, you guys came out of Chicago
Originally, yeah.
originally, but there's no UCB in Chicago.
There is not.
So was it just sort of like
We were just a sketch group in Chicago for 5 or 6 years, and then we moved to New York in '96, and then 2 years later we opened our own theater.
Now, what was the sort of driving force behind, like, what made you guys say, like, because that's a big leap from we're a group, now we're actually going to open a theater, And then furthermore, to steamroll what you were going to say, it's amazing that, because usually when people open schools, they don't really work much after that. But all of you guys individually work a shitload. So you've actually managed to legitimize everything that you guys are doing.
The reason we opened Part A, the reason we opened the theater is because when we got to New York, people had never seen long form improvisation, which is what we were kind of schooled in through this guy Del Close.
Of course,
Chicago. And so they were interested, so we started teaching classes, and then we took all our little money and we kind of pooled it in our little sketch group kitty so we could go to LA to do showcases or buy props or make small movies. And then by the time we'd been there a year, we had so many students, and those students were starting to do shows at the same theater space. And in New York, nobody respects you. They're like, move your props, get out of here. Like, they don't treat you well. Go back to Chicago, we'd heard many times. So we decided, let's get our own clubhouse, basically. So we found this old strip club that Giuliani had shut down in his campaign to moralize Manhattan. And so we benefited from that. So we knocked down the pole and all the mirrors.
Oh, was that part of his replace tits with bits campaign?
Yeah.
So that's like to go through and put comedy in all the old adult clubs?
I think his goal was to get Mickey Mouse on 42nd and Broadway, which he did, which he succeeded in. And then, so that's why we started the theater. And then we have people in place now that are much more talented than we are at business. So there's a guy named Alex in New York, and Susan, who you all know, runs the LA part.
So what does a sketch group do in the mid-'90s when there's not really much of an internet? Like, how do you... I mean, is it are you in a situation where you're just handing out VHS tapes of stuff and trying to pass them around?
Showcases. You have to go to LA or New York to get discovered, obviously. So we decided to go to New York because we felt like people in New York go out to theater more, and like in LA at the time, it was just like a showcase. And then you could never mount a run in LA. There was never like long-running comedy shows in LA. So we felt like we could do that in New York. So we did that in New York, and we had a manager, and he got people there. And then we met a guy named Kent Alterman at Comedy Central who kind of championed us in there, and we got a sketch show. We went to Aspen and then got a sketch show.
Oh. Yeah, the sketch. I mean, I loved the sketch show.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a phenomenal.
Pretty weird, but funny.
Yeah, but you know,
Were you a stoner back then when you were watching it?
I was a drunk.
Drunk. Okay.
I was a kid that was straight edge, and I still enjoyed it.
Really?
Yeah.
I find a lot of our fans are big stoners.
I mean, I have got to credit Comedy Central. I know a lot of there's a lot of Mencia stuff on. I mean, not anymore, but there is a lot of mainstreamy stuff on Comedy Central. But they really do try to put more alternative stuff out there, and it's just, for whatever reason, their main demographic doesn't always come together to support that stuff. And so, you have more blue-collar Mencia stuff that kind of pays the bills.
Yeah, but that stuff has to be there to necessitate like all the other little
I
parties.
agree.
Yeah.
I know. I totally agree. So
now, you've done a half hour, right? You and Mike did.
Yeah, we did a
I saw
half
that.
hour together.
Have
yeah.
you ever done a Comedy Central half
No,
hour?
I've done like their little showcase show, the Gotham show.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just curious.
It was cool. Like the early days of half hours, if you talk to someone like Dimitri Martin, he was like, the half hour changed my life. But he did it when there weren't that many yet. And by the time Mike and I did ours as Hard and Firm, there were already like 8 seasons or something.
Yeah.
So, there's 100 and something half-hour specials. There's only so
It
much.
was sort of like a Law and Order. Everybody gets to do
Yeah,
one.
exactly. So there's only so much TV real estate. So
Yeah.
just, when guys like Dimitri did theirs, they would just run the shit out of those same handful over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Demetrius was different from the rest though. Like he made his stick out like very cleverly, where it's like each act had something different. Like it progressed throughout each commercial break.
Yeah.
Where it's like he did his stand up and then he came back and then it was the easel and then he came back and it was the guitar. And then that's I remember seeing that, and it looked different from every other one.
But they really do a nice. They do a really nice job at Comedy Central when you're shooting a comedy special for them. Because I did Premium Blend, and then I did the half hour, and then I just did a couple of episodes of the John Oliver Show, and they create these really great environments where if you're used to doing comedy in LA, you kind of get the sense of hope the crowds are. I mean, I hope the crowd's not industry and surly. But they pump these crowds up, and they're in these gorgeous theaters,
Beautiful theaters,
and they do a really nice job, and they make it so that you can succeed.
Do you get a final cut on that or no way?
No.
Like you have no say about I don't want this bit in there or any of that?
I mean, I guess ultimately we could have. I don't know if they would have listened. I mean,
Because you shoot more. Like for a half hour, you shoot 40 minutes of stuff.
well, the half hour is actually 22 minutes or 21. When you're talking about commercials, so
Yeah.
you do a half hour material that they cut down to like 21 minutes, and the guy that because they pair you up with people. so they'll keep one audience for an hour for two different comics to do each a half hour. And the guy that went on before us only did like 20 minutes, and they made him go back out and do like another 10 minutes. Yeah. So it was like he literally walked off the side, there was just a finger pointing like, go back.
The reverse Sandman had to come and sweep him on back to the stage.
Reverse Sandman.
What's funny too is I think one of our first UCB gigs at Comedy Central was a comedy special called Comic Cabana, and they had a Cuban theme and a Cuban band, and it was basically stand-up, but we were the only sketch group. And I remember Andy Kindler went on and totally bombed because, he makes fun of himself, and I think that audience didn't like it or whatever.
Well, like a normal person will feel sorry for someone.
Yes,
they can find themselves.
They started to sense, he's failing because he keeps commenting on he's failing.
Well, they also most regular crowd, like they're like regular people don't understand comedy deconstruction.
Yes,
and Andy is one of my all-time favorite
all about
comics to watch, and he's so innovative with what he does. But it's sort of like, if you're like a regular comedy, if you're just like a regular person and you don't see a lot of comedy shows and you don't really understand the mechanics of comedy, it's like sending a freshman in college to an upper division physics class where they're like, what's happening?
Yeah, but he literally bombed, and all the comedians were kind of laughing with him, I think, because he was enjoying it as Andy would. But when it aired, it was amazing. Like, they sweetened it and it looked completely funny. Do you know what I mean? Like, It was amazing how they turned it and they figured out, okay, we can use this joke and we can just cut and beef and sweeten it. It was interesting.
And Jimmy Pardo's special, they edited it so weird. I remember watching it, and they cut to commercial in the middle of a bit, and like where he's talking about hats, how he loves hats, and then like it goes to commercial, it comes back, and he's still continuing the bit about hats, and it just like you get the like, how long has he been talking?
But I think what happened with Jimmy's was I think he went into the crowd a little bit, which is he's amazing at.
Yeah.
And I think those are all the parts that they cut out.
Oh, so it just seems to.
And so I mean.
So if he was talking about a bit, and then he starts going into the crowd.
I think that's where they snipped. Yeah. So, but I'm not. I mean, you could listen to Never Not Funny, and maybe Jimmy would explain, or we should have Jimmy on, and then we'll talk about it. Like, what happened?
Talk about podcast synergy.
Fucking lay him down, and we'll just pin him down and get in his face. We'll just dribble.
Suck it back in.
Yeah.
Touch your eyeball.
Back in. Yeah. Or like a chalk nose, where you just squat over someone's nose with your butt and you just poop a little bit, but then suck it back in. You just suck it back in. A chalk nose.
Why is it called chalk nose? Like, what kind of brown chalk were you working with?
It's something an Australian girl told me about. So if you hear
it's a way to torment someone, you put your
in Australia,
on
I guess
nose?
Yes, and then you just let the little turtle poke out a little bit and then suck it back in. But
sounds like a rugby ritual.
It does, and it sounds a lot cuter when you're like, oh, I'm going to give you a chalk nose. Like, then it's cute. But in America, it just sounds rapey.
I think universally.
Really?
It sounds rapey.
Yeah. I think Australians make everything sound cuter. Oh, rapity-doo. Rapity-doo. Who doesn't want that?
What was that old John Glazer character, Wackadoo?
Yes.
And Wackadoo is a great old John Glazer character. Wackadoo, I fucking hate Jews.
Sponsored by Disney. So, Matt Walsh, what are you working on now? Is there anything that you're working on that you're excited
I was going to promote Players, but it's not going to be back on until July.
I'm sorry. Oh,
it's
good.
Not your fault. It'll be on in July, yeah.
Good.
They gave us a new lead-in because the previous lead-in was like 15-year-old boys who get boners watching little girls.
What?
It's a very sexy show, and our show isn't very sexy, so they want to pair us with something that's more like 25 and
So you're
35.
talking about actually having some type of programming synergy.
But they don't have any other programs. Like, we're the second narrative comedy they're developing. Everything else is sort of like reality or like special show. Rose versus Joe's is going to be our lead-in.
I had lunch with Sean
bad,
Conroy like last weekend, and he was like, I don't know if our show's coming back. And I'm like,
It is.
Fuck. Okay, good.
July
good,
14th.
Good. I'm very
Yes.
glad to hear that.
Thank you.
Because you guys are so fucking funny. I mean,
Great cast, too.
Wonderful cast.
Solid cast.
Here was
Wonderful
my experience with Spike, and I'm not saying that. And this was like 5 years ago. I don't know if any of the same people are there, but I went in to pitch him a show, and I go through the whole pitch, and they're like, we're only shooting shows outside. And I'm like, what?
Really?
What are you talking about? Yeah, we're only shooting shows out of doors right now. Those are the only shows we're buying.
From the hours of 1 p.m. till
Golden hours.
Why would you lay down that kind. That to me just sounds like a marketing person that doesn't understand how to read data. So they're like, well,
And we'd like you to wear blue shirts.
yeah, exactly.
That's all we're doing.
You know, in the movie Back to the Future, Marty wears a vest. So from now on, everyone wears vests. Like that's how.
Or they looked at all the shows that were succeeding, and what's the comment? They're outdoors.
Right,
That's
right.
why they're working.
There is a logic behind it. It's just not a good logic because what the real logic should be is, hey, let funny people make funny things.
Yes.
The end. If it's inside, outside, in space, in a
I'd
fucking
watch that in space.
yeah,
That'd be great.
Anything
Funny
in
people in
space.
space.
funny people in space.
Like Mel Brooks made that movie.
Baseball. And a cartoon.
Wasn't that the first title? Funny People in Space.
Funny People in Space.
Spaceballs, yeah.
That movie was like 20 years too late, right? Like it came out in 19.
Not for a
it came
kid-
out 20 years later
I
after Star
enjoyed the
Wars.
shit out of
Not
that.
for
as
a-
No,
well.
it was
Not
like
for
10
kids
years.
our age.
Yeah.
No,
Spaceballs.
For kids.
Star Wars came out in 76.
Yeah,
let's
Spaceballs
say.
was late 80s.
Yeah,
All
Spaceballs.
right.
Yeah.
Let's say 15 years.
And Empire Strikes a Jedi was what, 84?
Was it that late?
Yeah, I think it was.
Are you sure it wasn't like 76, 78, 81?
But there were still Star Trek movies being.
But it was
No,
all
but I'll
Star
look it
Wars
up.
parody. I don't know. It always felt very like.
It was a few years later than it should have been right on the heels of the
It felt like it was in the can for 8 years. Is what it felt like when it came out.
Still
Well, in
loved
that
it.
case, then Dracula Dead Loving It came out about 60 years too late. Hot off the heels of Bela Lugosi's Dracula, here comes Mel Brooks as Dracula Dead Loving It.
But Dracula's a perennial. Like everybody,
Yeah.
even Twilight.
When the blood just shoots over Steven Weber, I just laugh.
Most blood in
hysterically.
movie history in
So
that scene.
funny.
I like
Really?
Yeah.
I like referring to Dracula as a thing, like, oh, there's a Dracula in my room. You know, like I like to refer to it as a thing.
A branded.
Yeah, it's a branded thing. It's like a creature. A Dracula's a creature.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a
Dracula. What kind of name is that?
I have a friend who I worked with. This guy named Rob Paulson, who was one of the voices. He was one of the voices of the Ninja Turtles, but he was also one of the voices of the Animaniacs.
Oh yeah.
He's awesome,
Wow.
and he worked with Mel Brooks on something when he was when he was like 21 or 22, and he goes, you know, when I go in and I'm all cocky and we're all pitching jokes, and Mel has these characters from the Spaceball movie called Dinks. And there's one where one of them gives another character some water, and you know he wants a line in there. So I raise my hand, and I got this great idea, and I go, "Hey, how about we call that one Gunga Dink?" And he just kind of holds for Mel to like pat him on the back, and Mel goes, "Kid, wit is shit, funny is money," and just totally like fucking shot him down in front of everyone. I'm like, man, that is a great way. Because how many times do you write a joke that you go, "This is so clever," and then
Yeah.
you do it, and then fucking death, yeah, like right in the crapper.
Wit is shit.
Wit is shit, funny is money. Mel Brooks,
Yeah, that's
circa
hard.
80s. So are you still? You're not? Do you have time to teach anymore, or do you?
I occasionally teach. I probably haven't taught in 5 months or so.
You do the immersion classes though, right? So you don't.
What do you mean immersion classes?
Are those
What
like-
are immersion
Where you go in
classes?
those?
We
You
go
go
in
in
the
those
jungles?
tanks. You go in the tanks with the water where you can't feel your.
Are those like? Is that
William-
what's called?
like
when they do,
William Hurt did
Like
in,
those like.
Yeah, it's in
quick-
altered states.
Thank you. Couldn't think of the title.
The quick like classes where it's like a.
Yeah, like a workshop. Yeah,
Yeah.
I did one. I shouldn't say it. I did one, and this kid brought pot brownies to the class. Kind of ruined it for real.
Wait, did you eat them?
I did not, but he offered them to the class, and like 5 or 6 kids ate them, and he
that-
didn't tell people. Oh, it's kind of a dick move.
That is a dick move.
The most stoned
been
I've ever
banned.
gotten was after doing ASCAP monologues that one time, like a few
Did
years
we all
back.
get high or something?
I probably. It's just like these dudes like came up to me after the show. It's like, dude, you were hilarious. Let's smoke pot. I'm like, I don't really smoke, and they're like, come on. And I like the adoration they were giving me, so I wanted to seem cool. So I smoked pot, and I was walking out to my car, and that's when I just got that dog. Remember that one-eyed
Yeah.
dog? Yeah. And
You
I
were
just
bringing him
kinda-
to the theater, yeah.
Yeah. And she peed all over the backstage, and she still had the stitches in her eye.
Why'd you
but-
take her eye out? That seems like a terrible.
That's how I
dog
got her.
thing.
She was
Really?
discounted.
Oh, you sure?
Yeah, a little Parker Pilot with one eye.
You weren't just like, she'd be cuter without that one eye.
She was a lot adorable, I'd imagine.
Did you feel like that
Very
one eye was
sympathetic,
always
yeah.
looking at you?
Yeah, she was with that one eye.
Did you ever, put anything evil in there? Like
I tried
like a
you
cat
know,
eye or something to
we
freak people out?
We wanted to like try a patch out, but every time we put anything on her head, she just would whip it off.
Yeah.
A fucking dick.
Yeah. Dogs are jerks that way.
But yeah,
they
that's
don't
so-
understand irony.
But like, yeah, UCB crowds fucking love their weed.
Yeah,
Love
you didn't
everything.
eat. You didn't have an edible. You were just smoking.
No, I smoked, but then I'll walk into my car. Like some other guy saw me and smoked me out again, and then it happened again.
Then you turn into Lloyd Bridges in Airplane where you're hanging upside down.
Then I had to drive my car home, which felt like driving a boat on choppy waters. It was just like
That's right, kids. Do what Jonah Ray does. Smoke a bunch of pot from people you don't know and get behind the wheel of a vehicle.
I mean, I was if I was lucky, there would have been PCP in there. Then I could have focused on my way home.
At
but,
least, yeah.
I don't get wet though.
I know. I mean, and I'm boring when it comes to that stuff. Whenever like people break out the pot, I'm like, I don't need to have drugs to have a good time, guys. I want to go home. And
Yeah, I don't really smoke pot that much. That's why it kind of like it makes it hard to hang out in the comedy scene for the most part, where it's like everyone wants to smoke pot. But I know if I smoke pot, the first thing on my mind after I get stoned will be like, hey guys, I'm gonna go home and take a nap. That's like really all. That's like the craziest side effect, where I just like I get the most motivation I've ever had to just go and take a nap.
Well,
at
if people listening have not seen the Ass Cat monologues, they're fucking amazing, and they should go see you guys.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so You've
done it, right? Of
I've done it a
course,
bunch
yeah.
of times. Actually, the last time I
You
did
had some
it,
good bowling stories. I
I had some bowling
Yeah.
stories with my dad, but the
Yeah.
last time I
You're
did
very good at it.
monologues, there's this older guy in the crowd, and he looks really familiar, and I'm like, God, you look really familiar, and it turns out it was Robert Culp. Robert Culp was
kidding.
there.
Oh, wow.
This was last year, and I guess his daughter was checking out UCB or something, and so he came out with her, and then he just fucking died. And I just
a year later, do you think it has anything to do with your theater?
Oh my God! No, that's a comic's mind.
Your
Like it's
jokes were
something
like a
I did that
quivering
killed
punch.
him.
Yeah,
Do you
yeah.
think it's something I said in that monologue that made him die a year later? That's how self-centered.
That's what
we are.
amazes me about LA in general. Like, what's his name? Rob York came to our theater. The guy from Radiohead.
Oh, Tom York.
Tom York.
Yeah,
Excuse
yeah.
me. Tom York.
Tom York.
Grandpa doesn't know. The guy from Radiohead.
Yeah.
Lead singer. He was at Jeff Garland's show right before ASCAP. But it always amazes me, like Robert Culp's a huge star. Like they just sit into this little theater and watch an improv show.
I remember the first comedy death ray I did when the UCB opened. Fucking Sporty Spice was there. Sporty Spice was there. She lives up the hill. But I remember, we used to do comedy death ray at the M Bar,
Yeah.
which was sort of that was kind of the hub of comedy that Ackerman and BJ put together, and then all these other shows cropped up there.
Yeah.
The M Bar on Vine.
Yeah, all those other shows really did not do as well.
Well, maybe they didn't do as well. But and then when Scott said, "Yeah, they're going to open a UCB theater in LA. We're going to move the show over there," I honestly was like, "Well, that's the death of this show. No, people don't know how to sit in theater seats in Los Angeles. It's never going to work. No one goes to theater. This is going to fucking kill this great room." And it's
only got
just
better.
a nonstop fucking hit.
Yeah.
You guys
at
really
UCB.
made
They're more
the-
attentive in a theater scene.
What is it like? What do you think the thing is that you have that makes the UC Beater so sticky? I mean, besides being everyone's crazy, crazy talented and funny, like what is it about the UCB that just instantly makes people go, I got to be a part of that?
I think part of it is the network of friends we had when we came out here. Like, there's a lot of not unemployed comedians, but like guys who want to do shows for a good audience, and they might have sitcoms during the day or whatever. But you can on any given night there can be a great stand up just popping in. So I think we had friends when we started, and I also think we don't meddle with people in any way. It's just kind of like your slot from 8 to 10. You can do whatever you want, and it's free rehearsal, and the tickets are cheap. So kids, like young, smart audiences, are always coming and finding it. So I think the base of that, the foundation of that, helped build, the theater, and then word of mouth just spread, And I think having a show like Comedy Death Ray helped put us on the map, and Ass Cat helped put us on the map. So I think having a few anchor shows when we started really built word of mouth.
Those early shows used to be all comedy nerds.
Yeah.
And then it sort of grew into, I mean, I feel like,
Well, now they're just show nerds. Like it's just people that are dedicated.
but
to
a lot of them look like children to me. Like they're little
dude.
kids.
Yeah.
They're little kids.
That's all I ever. Whenever the beginning Ask Cat, we just talk to the audience, and everybody's like, we always interview them or ask them, like, what do you know, or what's your we always try to find a common reference, and it's hilarious. Like there was 5 kids from San Pedro who didn't know who Christian Slater was, and they were 20 years old.
Oh, Jesus.
I mean, they didn't see Cuffs.
They don't know anything about. They literally had no idea who Christian Slater was, and that's like what you're up against. Like with a young audience, you have to find out what they know.
And you
it's
say
amazing.
he's Talk Hard Harry from Pump Up the Volume.
Yeah.
Come on, guys.
He's from Gleaming the Cube.
Heathers? Was he in Heathers?
He was in Heathers.
Yeah.
Of course, yes.
He had a cameo in Star Trek 6.
Come on, guys.
How about that?
How about that?
He was the guy that in the 80s, everyone was like, why is he doing that Jack Nicholson impersonation? In the 90s, they're like, oh no, he's not dropping it.
Yeah.
that guy.
Yeah.
But you don't change your references in your jokes, do you? If it's like a young crowd, say you're at the theater, you would not. You would just do whatever you do, right?
For the most part, unless I feel like I'm trying to think if there's any joke in particular. Let me put it this way: I'm not above it. Like if I feel like there is some sort of cultural reference that would work better on the road, I might mod it for a younger crowd only because I'm not one of those comics who's like, fuck the audience. If they don't get it, fuck them. Like I want it to be a relationship that we create and everyone has fun.
Yes.
And if I'm trying to force them to get things that they don't understand, then then no one has fun. So I'm not.
And you're just explaining references the whole night.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So
You remember him, don't you?
I'm not above that.
What am I,
I'm sure
Sergeant
have
Slaughter?
done it.
Sergeant Slaughter was a character in the G.I. Joe.
They know Slaughter. I think they'd know Slaughter.
They know Slaughter now.
Yeah.
Well, now.
They might know Slaughter now.
Sorry, I forgot. See, now that's how I'm in a weird area where I'm not paying attention enough. And it's like I don't know anything about the G.I. Joe movies or the Transformer movies. I'm not I can't reference things in my own time.
Or Twilight. I've never seen a Twilight, I'm sure.
I've not seen Twilight either.
That's a big common that is their Breakfast Club or whatever for certain. Do you know what I mean? Like movies we loved.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
For me, that was a big movie, but I can't.
I would like to see Breakfast Club vampires. That would be amazing if
You mean Breakfast
why
Club
not?
Dracula's, right?
Breakfast Club Draculas is what
Suck
I'm talking
up,
about.
Johnny.
Yep, that's right.
That'd be a great movie.
You want to win! You want to win! You gotta suck blood! He's just got
Mess
the
with the
fucking
vampire, you
sweatshirt.
get
Eat your
fangs.
chicken pot pie.
Yeah. That's actually blood, because we're Draculas. I would love to see someone go back and mod all the John Hughes movie with Draculas.
That'd be a good YouTube video, certainly. Just dub
let's
it
call
over.
that out right now. Someone make that, please.
Someone make Pretty in Pink vampires or
Pink vampires.
Peggy Sue got married.
vampires. But all they do is just add vampires at the end. Baby's Day Out, vampires. Dracula's Day Out. Are you working on any movies right now? Is there anything?
What have I done? I did a movie called Cherry, which was at South by Southwest. Did you guys go to that?
I did not.
I don't know how it did or whatever. And I'm in a movie called Cyrus, which comes out very, very, very small part.
Oh, that's the John C. Riley.
John C. Riley, Jonah Hill.
Oh, yeah.
Marissa Tomei.
You know, the other
That's
Jonah?
Yep, the other Jonah.
Yeah, that's a really good movie.
Yeah.
So I'm in that, and then
forward
I think in May I'm going to Arizona to shoot some movie where I play a cowboy who falls in love with a guy who's going through transgender operation.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, like a Tender Mercies for crying game sort of thing.
That's fantastic.
This is a drama?
It's a comedy, actually. It's got a kind of a dramatic thing, but it's a comedy. But it's a very odd, small movie.
That sounds.
Yeah, but that's those small movies that, like, boys don't cry. Then all of a sudden,
Yeah.
hey, there's Matt at the Oscars.
Hey, what's up, guys?
All he did was he did that one movie.
Remember the movie everyone laughed at him for making? About that lady man?
Transgender cowboys, come on. What do you call them?
It'll never
Cowgirls?
work.
About that lady man.
The movie about the lady man?
No, the man wife. That man wife. Did you ever do stand up?
I did. I did it for about 2 years in Chicago, in the tri-state area, like Milwaukee, Michigan, Wisconsin, all that stuff. And it was too hard. I would literally have a great show and then an abysmal show, and I couldn't ride it. I couldn't bounce back. It was too tough. It's like the hardest thing in the world.
It's so funny because I feel like people who are hardcore stand-ups look at improv and they're like, yeah, I can never do that. And then people who are hardcore improv people go, stand-up, nah.
No, and it's tough. And then also I got placed, like somebody saw me being funny and said, "Okay, you're a headliner," and like way before I was ready. So I really experienced like I can't do.
I don't
this.
think I have a get out there.
Yeah, and so you're having to fill 45 minutes. So I would bring people with me to kill 5 minutes from the audience or whatever. But I just it's tough, you know. It was some nights it was good.
I mean, improv is scary to me because there was a period of time pre-UCB in the 80s and 90s. It was fucking Groundlings was the fucking home tree of comedy of sketch and improv comedy in Los Angeles, and I feel like you guys stole a lot of that thunder, which is pretty awesome. But
Well done.
Thank you.
But I did improv a bit,
Really?
and I just my stand-up instincts are too strong. Like
Yeah.
I would always try to steer the scene, and I wasn't a great team member, and those are the things that are bad for improv. You need everyone working together.
Improv, though, is a great tool, especially the way you guys teach it at UCB, where it's like I took classes, and I never really like intend to be a part of any kind of team or like a group doing improv regularly, but I loved the information and the knowledge I got from the classes, where it's like it helps you write better jokes.
Yeah.
It helps you like escalate scenes. It's just like the knowledge I got from doing improv like was like way better than like anything I could do with it in on a stage.
Yeah.
Just like even writing jokes and like stand up, it's just like the improv classes just help you like exponentially.
I was so bad at, because I would always go for jokes instead of driving the scene.
Yeah.
And I had one teacher, it was a guy named Mike McDonald. Do you know
Sure.
Mike? Mike was on Mad TV.
Yeah.
And he was a nice but sometimes rage-filled guy, and he would. And so in a scene, I would go for a joke, and then he would just joke, like he would yell out every time, like, "Oh, I'm a bad person."
You save it for like the last bit in the scene. Save the joke for like the last
punch,
part,
yeah,
the punch,
the
and then you get out.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because in the like up until maybe 5 years ago or 8 years ago, there was this kind of thing like, oh no, if you want to be on SNL, you go to the Groundlings.
Yeah.
And then Groundlings is like that's the diving board into the SNL pool. And now I feel like it's kind of UCB is the...
A little bit, yeah. Definitely there's a lot of people who come through and have gotten picked out for things like SNL. But I also think Groundlings teaches people a very transferable skill, which is that character thing, like how to develop a character and like... which is very still translatable to getting on SNL. Like,
right.
I do think they have a very valuable skill they teach people, which is that, I don't know, developing characters and not catchphrases, that kind of minimizes, but you know what I mean? Like that.
But in a short form sketch, you kind of need, your character needs a hook so that people can instantly...
crossover right away. Oh, I get it. This is the thing, yeah.
Do you think SNL should still be an hour and a half?
It should be 1 hour and a half sketch. I literally haven't watched a full SNL. The last one I watched was when Zach hosted.
I watched Zach's monologue.
That was funny.
He was, oh man, he did such a great job.
Yeah, he was. But I watched the whole show, and the show was great. Like it really was.
Yeah.
I hadn't really watched since the first time John Hamm was on, and I thought he did a great job too. But I don't know why I don't sit down to watch SNL anymore.
It's fine if you just sit down and watch it. It's fine. It's like it's a nice way to spend an hour and a half, better than spending an hour and a half watching something else on TV at the same time.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like it's easy for people to shit on that show and be like, "Hey, man." I feel like every generation has always said like SNL used to, like the previous generations used to be awesome, but then those previous generations people were saying that too.
Yeah.
But for fuck's sake, to do a live show in 6 days, or 4 days, or 5 days, or whatever it is, like an hour and a half, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's so ambitious, and I'm sure every week you follow the show. It sounds like
Some.
There's got to be at least 1 or 2 good sketches on.
Yeah,
right?
that's
and
the thing.
Update's got to
There
have
is.
at least 3 or 4 good jokes, right?
Yeah, no, it's like Update always has like a handful of good jokes, and is always about 2 or 3 like really solid sketches.
Yeah.
And they're usually towards the end.
Yeah, they bury them.
Yeah, that's true. I've noticed that lately. They've been putting the good stuff at the end.
Which is fine though, because like the thing is, you don't really need to watch it now because Hulu puts up the best sketches the day after. So it's fine. Like SNL will probably kind of start gaining steam because of that. Because people are only going to be seeing the good sketches, they're going to start tuning in more.
But are people watching the show, or are they just watching the clips that are popping on Hulu?
I know, because you don't get the band performances if you watch on Hulu. You don't get the.
I bet more and more people are watching it on the internet, of course.
Yeah, well, that's with
of
everything.
course. Yeah, exactly.
What's your internet presence like these days?
Where can you find me?
Well, I mean, just
I
like
do Twitter.
Did you embrace internet stuff? Or did you put a lot of stuff
my
online? Do you have a hub?
My Facebook page is pretty much done by my wife. There's too many options and
Your wife is very funny, by the way, Morgan.
Thank you.
So
She is
goddamn
very
funny.
Thank you. Yeah. And Twitter. So I do a little bit of Twitter. I Twitter probably once every 4 days.
Are you at Matt Walsh?
I couldn't get Matt Walsh because they're like dirt. There's so many of them. So I'm Matthew Paul Walsh without the H because I typed it wrong or something.
That's a really long name.
I know.
That almost
it's
takes
hard
up
to
the
find
whole
me.
140.
So it's really hard to find.
No. So Matthew Paul Walsh.
No H.
Walls.
Walls. Matthew Paul Walsh. Because I thought I had it. I
Matt.
typed in my full name, and I'm like, great, I got it. And I logged in, and then I realized that's not my full name.
No, Matt, I'm not. I like you a lot. I'm no SEO.
ahead.
I'm no
Get to the point.
SEO expert.
Get to the point.
But long, not really your name. Could be difficult to
Find me. It's true.
Why not go back and put the H in?
You can change it. You could.
But I think also, because I did try to change it, I don't think you can. I think you get like 14 characters for your username.
But could you go back in and be like UCB Matt?
I could, but then somebody told me, this is good counseling, somebody told me you're better off keeping the same account but changing your name. Because I was going to go Matt Walsh 3000. Mm-hmm. That seems easy. But something happened and it didn't work.
You can just change your
effectively.
username. You don't have to get a whole new account. You can literally just change your username and keep the same account.
I need you to be with me when we have this conversation.
I'll help you. I will walk you
with
through
you right
this.
now.
Yeah, seriously,
You're having
because
a
I just had my AOL. I'm still on AOL.
He is,
Well, that's
true.
okay.
It's terrible, and now I can't get in my inbox. I can compose mail, but I can't access my mail only on my BlackBerry. So now
weird.
I want to go to Gmail because I have a Gmail account.
Yep.
But I don't know how to export my mailing list because I tried to do that once 2 years ago. I made a big announcement. I said I'm tired of AOL. Screw these fuckers. I'm going to Gmail. And then something went wrong. And then 2 weeks later, it's like, dude, are you on Gmail or not? Because I keep writing you. No, I went back to AOL. So it's like I'm not very tech savvy. It's always a problem.
That's a pain in the ass.
And AOL is the worst.
AOL mailing, getting an AOL mailing list is a pain in the ass out of AOL.
Yes, that's what I
It is,
experienced.
yeah.
And I made the big declaration, fuck these people, I'm going to Gmail.
It's almost like you have to send Tron in with his disc and shoot it at the little space in the middle of the AOL.
It's been done.
What?
AOL's too strong.
They are?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you can't get a person to talk to if you have the free AOL. You call AOL and they say, you have free AOL, so you cannot get person-to-person customer service.
Wow.
If you pay $15 a month, then you can get a person to talk to. And then if you go online, like you Google loading inbox on AOL, which is, I've spent 2 days trying to figure this out. I can't figure it out. And it's like, nobody knows how to do it. Like nobody has this is what you got to do, buddy. I couldn't find it.
Wow.
If you just used because you're going in through. This is going to be really nerdy.
Do it!
Just go into you're not using Mail. Are you using Mail, the app on the Mac? Or are
Yeah.
you going into AOL?
I'm going into AOL.
Don't do that. Just use Mail because it's a mail gatherer.
I have my computer. We're going to do this
I'll
after
fix
the
it.
show.
You can just set up a POP
You can just set
account.
up set up an IMAP, imap.aol.com, and then
You can IMAP AOL.
yeah, we'll fix it. Don't worry.
Really? Okay.
We'll IMAP your AOL. We'll get all your stuff into your Leopard Mail box,
It's gonna be.
and then
gonna be great.
And then from there,
I have Leopard 10, right? Is that what I have?
Well, you have Leopard 10, I think it's called.
Yeah.
I remember your machine. I worked on it once.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, God. Thank you.
Matt, how fast can you swap out a logic board?
I can do 3 an hour. So yeah. It's
Really?
pretty good. Yeah.
Do you build your own computers or do you
No,
buy them?
I fix them at the Genius Bar.
Okay.
Yeah, you swapped out everything, all my insides of my computer because they had all melted.
Yes.
Literally melted.
Yes,
There was
right?
something going on in that, but I fixed it.
Well, I think it was
You're
just
back.
because I never turned it off.
Yeah. Well, that happens.
That could be a problem.
No, but I mean, you don't make like a Frankenstein computer.
No, I'm not.
Okay, that's
I
all
don't
right.
care for that.
You could though.
This is much better.
Okay.
Could you make Frankenstein's computer?
Yes.
So he would be able to use it? A Frankenstein?
I have made Robert De Niro's computer.
What a Frankenstein. He played a Frankenstein
Yeah, he
monster.
did.
Yeah.
He played a Frankenstein monster. Fuck it, he's a Frankenstein.
He's a Frankenstein.
Because ultimately, he's he's Frankenstein's son.
Frankenstein.
Frankenstein.
Yes.
So, he's Frankenstein's son, so that makes him a fucking Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's just kill the...
Everybody.
Frankenstein's monster.
Yeah.
He's a Frankenstein.
He's a Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But he's not a Frankenweenie.
He's not a Frankenweenie.
Nope.
Hey, you never swapped out my... I wanted you to add RAM to my MacBook.
Yeah, I could do
Even though I'm just going to get a fucking iPad. and
Whoa.
I know, I'm going to do it.
I'm sure they're great. Apple makes a lot of great things. I love Apple.
In case they're listening.
I'm just curious, why are your eyes darting around suspiciously? Like
not a
waiting
fan of
for
the iPad.
some type of shoe to
What
drop.
are you talking about?
You're not a fan of the iPad.
No, I
Say
look
it.
forward to it. It's going to be fun.
I look
It'll
forward
be
to
fun.
it.
It'll be fun.
You know what it sounds like right now? It sounds like you're in a relationship where this girl's going, I love you. And you're like, and you're nice too.
Thank you.
That's what it sounds like.
Thank you.
That's what it
That's
sounds
what I
like
said.
right now.
Ditto.
The iPad is like
Ditto.
the Kindle, right? Sort of.
In size, yeah.
Okay.
And you can read stuff on it.
Jonah's being hugged by a ghost at his pottery wheel.
He's helping me hold the mic.
Hey, now that Patrick Swayze's dead, do you think he's going around and doing that bit to crack up other ghosts?
I think so.
Like, hey, remember when I did this when I was corporeal?
Supposing those ghosts would have had to have seen ghosts.
Yeah, no, he's going
Yeah.
to Patrick Swayze's going to all sorts of pottery classes and hugging people, and they don't know it, but all the other ghosts are like, this guy's fucking hilarious.
He only associates with ghosts that died after 1989.
Yes.
Come on, you've seen Ghost, right? Come on.
Oh my god, if someone can ghost
I
you,
remember that was VHS. That VHS tape was white. I remember that.
Oh,
because
really?
my
Oh, the
mother-
box?
My mother had it. The cassette itself was white.
Really?
Yeah, you
I always
can get
thought,
different colored.
cassette tapes for VHS were
Porn.
just red. Yeah, for porn. There was
Yes.
like red.
Yes.
Yeah,
Well, it's middle-aged woman porn. My mom had it.
That's true.
true. Very true.
It was white tape. Anyway,
At Bridges in Madison County.
that was red.
White box, black tape, right?
Yeah.
Tape wasn't white.
No, the tape was white.
The tape was white?
Physically, the tape was white.
Really? That's weird.
And I would remember it just because that was the ghost tape, but I'd never go near it.
Ghost tape. Ghost tape. Stop making fun of my speech impediment. Ghost. I'm not scared of them. I just
Stutter?
I have a stutter.
Oh, let's hug. Matt, you have a couple of children now.
I do. Emmett is like 9 months and Jude is almost 3.
That's fantastic.
Judah.
That's what we do. Jude, not Judah.
Oh, sorry, I said Judah.
No, Jude.
Have you thought about Judah?
Judah, I didn't think about Judah.
Okay, well that's fine.
He's not into changing names. We just talked about his Twitter account.
If he's not going to change his Twitter account name, he's not going to change his child's name. Okay.
Jason Nash was close to naming his kid Jonah.
Oh really?
Yeah, which he said would have been weird
Why? Because he knows you?
because he knows me.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to.
Yeah.
I feel like in the old days, everyone was just like John or Dave,
Tony, yeah.
and then it didn't matter. Like, oh yeah,
I'm Matthew Paul as well.
Are you really?
Yeah, Matthew Paul.
Catholic
Matthew.
much.
Yep.
Yeah,
Whatever.
exactly.
Boston Catholic much.
I'm Matthew Paul and my confirmation name was Luke.
Thomas.
Isn't that hilarious?
I was Thomas. I was Thomas.
Oh, that's very
because I
Catholic,
was
too.
doubting. Anyway, look,
Matthew,
it's in the Bible.
Luke, Jesus, the Rock, Walsh.
Beautiful name.
Mary Magdalene Walsh. That'll be my daughter if we have a girl.
So how? I mean, how is fatherhood? Do you feel like that's helped comedy, or has it affected comedy in any way?
It's
or
probably
do you
dull. It's probably dulled me down a little bit.
think so?
You're just so tired. Like honestly, like you're just so tired with 2 kids. Like it's just so much work and it's awesome. But like you show up for a show at 8:00 and you've been up since 6, and it's just a different energy. Like you can't do I can't do midnight shows anymore. Like there's no way you can get up for a midnight show. So that's been more challenging. But I guess I could go Cosby and just start doing things about
Wear
family.
sweaters.
I could wear sweaters, but there is like funny things kids do, so I guess I could change. But I don't really do stand-up, so I don't know.
But it's just like at this point, just a point of reference for a story or like a
Yeah, but it won't relate to the 21-year-olds at the theater. But
Now,
the
do you-
older audience will know.
Do you
what I'm
find?
talking about.
I'm just curious. I'm just because I'm fascinated by the process. But do you find because UCB, there's a lot of gorgeous, eloquent filth that happens.
Yes, our bread and butter.
and also
Yeah.
just filth.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of. There's just filth, but I'm a fan of eloquent filth.
Yes.
And there's a lot of that at UCB.
Yes.
And do you find that as a parent now, do you feel any of that's kind of like, oh, rape joke? I have kids.
No, it has
there's
not
none.
affected
Okay.
me in that
All
way.
right.
Although because they're still young and they'll never see it.
Right.
So, but if if Jude's in high school and he wants to start coming to the show, then it might enter into my like consciousness, like, okay, I have to figure this out, or how do I explain? And it's funny because Ian and I made some promos for the show, and one of them was this thing. Ian Roberts from Upright Citizens Brigade, and one of them we did a parody of the Two Girls One Cup, that horrible video, and the premise was like, well, it's the most popular viral video, so why don't we do that? So Ian tried to eat shit out of a cup to promote our show called Players. Long story short, he got an email from his parents who actually saw it, and they basically said, because his daughter was having a hard time in school because they were moving, and that's hard on kids, and she was crying a little bit, and the parents were saying, maybe it's not about the move, maybe it's about the stuff you're putting on the internet, and maybe she's seen it.
Oh,
It's like a big guilt trip, so...
Which was not really the case, though.
Not at all, and it also... Because Ian's parents, unlike like my parents, I've never invited to see anything I've done since I've been 25. I'm like, you're not going to like it. Like, they
Right.
love that I do it, but I'm like, you're not going to like it. I know
Right,
them.
yeah.
And Ian's parents, on the other hand, are completely open-minded and have seen all the terrible things we've done, but that one really crossed the line for them, and I think they were saying, like, maybe you should think about what you're doing because your daughter might be seeing it on the internet. And he started thinking, like, you know what? maybe I don't want to bring you into my life anymore.
Speaking of eating shit in a cup, Dad, I'm tired of your. It'd be funny if you go home and your parents don't know you're home, and you kick open the door and you're like, "Is anyone home?" And then your dad's there with a cup of shit and a camera, and then you just have that moment where he's like,
Their dirty little
"Son, Daddy," and then all this time they could have
all
all
in the open.
I tried to dissuade both my parents from coming to see my shows because I'm not. I mean, I wouldn't say that I am. I'm not a filth. I mean, filth isn't really my trademark, but I do get filthy in my act.
I feel like I'm in the same
use it
vein.
as a tool.
Yes,
and I try to dissuade. I try to discourage them, but they came and they had fun. They
really,
so they were cool with it. They were both cool with it.
So do they see you anytime you're in town, or if you go?
No,
through?
well, my dad lives in Florida, my mom lives out here, and so they're not together anymore, guys.
Okay.
My parents are divorced. I can't really talk about it.
Here we go.
Can't really talk about it.
And
You
how
seem
did it
like you
affect
turned out
you?
okay. You're a latchkey kid. You're a latchkey comedian.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, they were totally fine with it, which was a big relief.
That's awesome.
Although, wait a minute, you know what?
Good. This is the good stuff.
Stirring some stuff up.
I did a show when I was kind of toying around with stand-up in the mid-'90s. I did a show in '96, and my girlfriend at the time and my mom and my stepdad came out, and I bombed like worse. It was like one of the 2 times I did stand-up that year. And I bombed so bad, and they were there, and afterwards my mom was like, maybe you don't need to be so dirty. And I was already feeling so bad, which is I'm sure what happened with maybe Ian already may have felt something a little about it, and they just kind of like, I don't really need to hear that right now.
I did a stand-up show in Chicago, in Naperville. I can't remember the room, but long story short, it was at a Hilton, and they had a club inside the Hilton, and it was like 25 people in the room, and 18 of them were related to me. And at that time, I had a chunk about masturbation. It wasn't my only thing, but I just remember after that show, I didn't even want to talk to my parents, because that was a subject never talked about in the household.
Right.
And I had this.
We've never
It's
talked
very
about it.
Catholic. Yeah, very sex is not a topic.
You do it, but you don't talk about it.
Of course you do.
You get it done to you,
Right.
priest, but you don't
Right.
talk about it.
You cut the holes out of mouths and magazines and you fuck them, but you don't talk about
Sometimes
it.
you put a little water on there, it makes it smoother.
Maybe occasionally you'll put some lipstick on a pack of cold bacon
once
and
or
you'll fuck
twice.
it, but
I
you
mean,
don't say a
You're
word.
Catholic, you can't.
You're driving down the street, you're fucking a hot donut, you're throwing coffee on your balls just so you can feel, but you don't ever talk about it.
Nope.
That's the Catholic
That's right.
way.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yes, as long as you're going to church on Sunday.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's very true though. Yeah, but that was awful. That was like one of my low points. I remember thinking like, man, that's the worst.
Did you enjoy church when you would go?
When I was really young, it was fun.
I used to go. It was just my mom, and I just vividly remember the church bulletin had the church on the front of it, and
Yeah.
all the time I would draw the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man
On the bulletin.
pushing the church on the bulletin, and then I would put them back in the middle of the pile.
Oh, that's
I used to do that
awesome.
constantly. But anyway, that's just a
Did you draw a word bubble from off the side saying nobody steps into church in my town?
No, I should have.
My mom
probably couldn't
used to
write.
drag me to church when I went to Catholic school. My mom was the cantor, like she was the singer in the church, and so I was an altar boy.
My mom was
wow.
a CCD teacher. It was not good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I never got touched by any priest though.
Me
neither.
neither.
Yeah.
I felt
I didn't.
unattractive.
I was-
Yeah, me
altar
too.
boy
What the
once.
fuck?
Were you?
Yeah, well, I went to like the one training thing, and that I realized,
thing.
well, it's like they have to let you know how to light candles
The,
and shit. And
the,
like, I
altar boy
was like,
combine.
The training.
this is boring. Like, I
American
don't know.
Ninja Altar Boy. You had to go through the fucking course.
I liked it because it was like a good seat. I was like, yeah, I'm
Nah,
up
but I
here.
He had
hated
something
church.
to do,
Right?
Yeah, I did it
I
for like
hated
2
it.
years.
And you're kind of important.
yeah.
Wearing your
Yeah.
wearing your druid robes.
Yeah.
I got to
Yeah.
handle wine. It was nice.
Got to
Just
put
the
out
worst.
candles and light them with that stick, that thing that had the cup on it.
I think it's like I went to like a Catholic school, and like I think Catholic schools they have them so that kids can be full of like the Lord all the time, like be reminded of it.
Yeah.
And like I think that's the worst thing because there's nothing a kid hates more growing up than school.
Yeah.
And then when you fuse religion together with schooling, it just like makes the
yeah.
kid like that's why I think a lot of people that went to Catholic school just or like any kind of religious school like have a knee jerk reaction.
yeah.
I hate it.
I gotta say,
hated
I mean,
Catholic.
I'm not a religious person at all now, but I went to Jesuit school, and the Jesuits I found that
the best,
that taught me
yeah.
were super awesome because they were fucking drunks, and there was a priest named Father Holmes for freshman English, and it always blew every freshman's mind away because he swore profusely. And the first day you'd be, like the first day of class, some kid belched and he was like, "Hey, nice manners. What do you say to your mom at the dinner table? Hey, you fucking cunt, pass me the fucking potatoes." And all the kids were like, the air got sucked out of the room. Like, you could say that? Like, it was crazy.
That's awesome.
But, they didn't teach us a literal translation of the Bible. They taught us very figurative. And
Jesuits are smart,
They
though.
tried to
That's
explain,
smart,
like, listen, you have to understand politically what was going on at the time when the Bible was written. It was assembled over many, 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 years and decades and centuries. And so, these were just tools that they used to try to convey messages.
They started to like interpret the Bible, like that sect of priests? Like, weren't they in charge of education or something?
They were the educators,
They were
the
the
Jesuits, the
educators,
educators.
okay.
But what I did find out later was that a bunch of priests that I really liked, got busted for touching kids, and one of them hung himself, and it was just like all this horribleness. But I was not at the epicenter of any.
Well, at least they didn't touch you. I guess
No.
that's what you take away from that.
Yeah, exactly. It's a fucking. I feel like Catholic school now is just like a rape car wash, where it's just all these priests just hanging their dicks and hands down, and the kids just go through and they just kind of like, like the buff and wax, and they come out the other side shiny but damaged.
I like how everyone's like freaking out about like the Pope right now,
Yeah,
right.
Like letting all that stuff go. But people are forgetting that you say what you will about him, but he was a fucking Nazi. So it's like
Not surprising.
Say what you will.
say what you will.
That's not where I thought you were going.
Matt Besser, when he would do the Pope at the when they did that Last Comic Standing parody at the UCB, I forget, but his joke was, I was in the Nazi youth, but you could not blame the Muppets for the crimes of the Muppet Babies. So funny.
That's fantastic. So, Matt Walsh, just kind of wrapping up here in a second, but
We're gonna fix my AOL.
we're going to fix your AOL.
I'm really excited about
and by
that.
fixing your AOL, we're going to jettison your AOL.
Well, I just want to access my inbox first, and then I'll do
Yeah.
Bring your AOL disc that you got in the mail. That's the only way to-
Did you get your
you're gonna
70
I'm at Barnes and Noble.
70
still,
free
right?
hours?
Register?
Yep, your 70 free hours.
God, what a rip-off.
People still
I
access
paid
the
for
internet that way.
I
just in
paid
case
for
you're
AOL
wondering.
for like 8 years.
My parents, I believe,
What a
still do.
dumbass I am.
still have my AOL account. Matt Meyer at AOL.com. Go ahead. I never check it.
Okay.
I need to, I just want to change the color of my Windows 3.1.
What was your first email address?
My first email address was in 1994, Matthew D2.
Matthew D.
That's a good one.
Yeah. And then I dumped it because I was like, when I get older, I might have to use this. So I went with Matt Meyer.
I've had the same one since '96.
Yeah.
AOL.
That's fantastic.
That's why I keep it. In case somebody from my past wants to get a hold of me. I'm afraid
Yeah,
I'm
they
gonna
can
lose
find
it.
you. They can
But
find you
now
on
they can-
Facebook.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now there's
My
other
first email address was barf the mog. If you bring it back to your Spaceballs talking about it.
Oh, wow.
Barf the mog at webtv.com.
Web TV.
Web TV was a little TV.
Oh, we had
set.
Yeah.
Web TV. My dad brought
Yeah.
it home one day. He was really excited about it. We put it in the kitchen, and
Yeah.
I never touched it.
Yeah, it was horrible. But yeah, barf the mog at webtv.com.
It was Chris.
Mine was 1994. I had just started working for MTV, and I was at the Beach House over the summer, and they had just formed this partnership with AOL, and so we all got free AOL accounts. So my first stupid email was MTV Wick. But you could have 5 different usernames. So I had Craptastic was my actual one, and that's where you'd go onto message boards, and all you would see would like R.I.P. Kurt Cobain. Like that's all message boards were back then. And I didn't understand how the internet worked.
Do you remember the early days? Like I remember the early days of like having to go and like I would go to my dad's. My dad worked at Hewlett Packard, and we would go sometimes on the weekends, and I would sit there and he'd dial up. And I would get on there, and it would just be text, and I would just be like sitting there looking through text of the internet.
Oh, that's amazing.
Like, my generation, or Jonah and I, our generation is really the first one that sort of like came in, and then like computers sort of happened when we were able to learn it.
Yeah.
But the kids now that are just born
Oh,
And
there's
they're
going to be so much
iPhones.
smarter than
They're
us.
fucking iPhones.
Yeah.
Think
Kids
of how
are being
fast
born.
information can be delivered now. Like, you had to go to the library to look something up.
Well,
when I was a kid.
smarter,
I said that.
smarter,
Easier
but
for
also not
parents.
smarter in the sense that we've made it very convenient for them. I mean, it's sort of like you get a computer now, and it's like a toaster. You know, like
it's
you can't
insane.
like a kid now. You can't we don't know how to build
was-
a toaster.
I was-
and kids don't know how to most kids don't know how to program. They just know everything's handed.
I
to
was
them.
with my friend the other night, and she's like, "Hey, we're talking about citizens arrests," and she was like, "Can you really just citizens arrest somebody?" And I was like, "I don't know." And
Google
then
it.
we're driving, and she just pulls up the phone, and I was like, "You realize that 20 years ago we'd have to look at a library, and none of us, we'd never know. 'cause we
Arguments would
never
last a lot
bother.
longer.
Yeah.
It's like once we find out that thing that we were arguing
There's
about.
a bar bet that
You
lingers
should never,
overnight.
ever ask anyone a question about anything ever again because of Google.
Yeah.
Because you're just like, fucking look it up.
There's a website called Let Me Google That For You.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So if someone asks you a question, you go to Let Me Google That For You, you type it in, and it does a Google search and brings up the first thing and then clicks on the first thing for you, the first result, and you can send the link to
the screen
somebody.
cap. You get the
and
movie
it will
capture.
show you a flash video of someone typing into Google,
Yeah.
hitting the enter button, and then going to that first
Which is
thing.
really a lot more effort than just flipping them off and showing them your asshole,
Right.
which is really what you're doing.
Yeah.
Let me Google that for you.
That is funny. My first exposure to the internet was like in '92 or '3. This guy was playing chess with some guy in Russia. Like when a few people had it. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I don't know if he was a guy in the theater, and he would just play chess. I'm like, how are you doing that? And he'd have to turn the phone, or he'd have to plug it into the phone.
Oh, isn't that almost started that in the Second Cold War?
Yeah.
thinking of war
He wanted
games.
to
You know what I'm
play, he wanted
thinking
to
of
play
war
global
games.
thermonuclear war.
Think about Matt Walsh's friend from that had a friend in Russia. I'm pretty sure I remember this exactly how it went down.
But my first gig in New York, we wrote for an internet show that Microsoft was sponsoring, and they were so excited, and they said, anything you want to do. And we would just spend time on the internet, like, trying to figure it out. Like,
Oh, it's crazy,
Navigator was the browser,
Remember
whatever.
Delphi?
Netscape.
Netscape
Navigator.
Navigator.
Yeah.
And they brought us downstairs to show people the opening credits for the show, and they were so excited about the programmer's like, you got to see this. This is going to be so cool. People are going to come to our show. And literally all it was that film thing. He hit a button, and it just went 10, 9, 8, like that, just like at the beginning of the film. And then it scrolled across in like a flashing scroll. It just said Emergency Broadcast Network, and that was it.
Wow.
We all just left that room going, we were so bummed. This is never going to be good. This will never be good. This is like, and that's where, this is 1996 when I got my
Yeah.
first email. It was like exactly cutting edge technology. And this is like, there's no reason to go on the internet.
I remember
There is no reason.
Remember seeing video for the first time on a computer and how like pixelated? Like I remember the Windows 95 disc came with Weezer's Buddy Holly video.
Really?
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Wow.
And I would watch that constantly. And
it
I was
was
like,
kinda
wow,
great.
It looks great, but now it's fucking.
You go on Webcrawler to
Yeah.
search shit. Does Webcrawler still exist?
Dogpile was what my dad would use.
Oh, really?
Dogpile.com.
Is web crawler a browser?
Webcrawler, yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't a great browser, but it was a browser. I mean, like
Yeah.
it was a browser, and it had a little cartoon spider on it, and
Oh, wow.
you know, and it.
Sorry.
All right.
Sorry.
What
Afraid
happened?
of spiders?
I mean, even in internet form, you're afraid of search engine spiders.
Search engine spiders. It's a very specific fear.
Oh my god! I didn't think I never thought I would hit that button in you.
Button. Sorry.
Well, you've activated my amygdala, which has big cartoon internet spider painted on it. But you got to get out of here.
I gotta go.
Jones got to go do his taxes.
Gotta go do my taxes.
Oh, break a leg.
April
Thanks,
15th,
guys.
web crawling up on us.
April
Oh,
15th?
Jesus.
Yeah,
I got time. I'll cancel it.
yeah. Hey, that texting. Can you get them to
right.
change that?
He's literally getting up.
Goodbye. I'm sorry. It was like I called him back to see if I could push it forward because I'm a big fan of yours. I really guess.
Thank you. I'm a big fan of yours.
Didn't you
you.
explain to them the words podcast?
Yeah.
I guess really just one word.
He asked me if I could write it off. I said, I don't think so. No one makes money off of this.
It actually costs Chris quite a bit.
Well, see you later, Jonah.
See ya.
Bye, Jonah.
There he goes. Well, if I
talk
were a
about
better
it.
host, I would have timed this so that we wouldn't have had to.
You know.
Oh, the door's locked. There he goes.
This makes it real.
There he goes.
Talk about Jonah.
Bye, guys.
Bye,
Now
Jonah.
Jonah's lit.
he's in the out of doors.
Jonah's gone.
My dog Scott is curious as to why he would leave in the middle of the podcast, but dogs don't understand the concept of paying
you're
taxes,
just
so
left
you
with-
can understand.
That's a
the
total
confusion.
status move, by the way. He doesn't have taxes to do.
No.
He's just like, I'm more important
Think about
than
it.
everybody.
Think about it. It's status for a couple different reasons. Number one, it makes us go, how much money is he making? He's got a tax
Yeah.
appointment.
Yeah. Planted
Number
the
two,
seed.
he fucking ditches us in the middle of a thing.
I don't have to do any of the breakdown.
It's amazing.
You guys handle it.
He makes a big exit. So
Now you're just left with two people named Matthew Paul.
that's oh my god.
That is weird.
It is, yeah. I saw your Twitter name and I was like, oh fuck, there's another one.
Catholic man group.
Let's hug it out with our penises. No, that's how we did it.
Penis car wash.
Yeah, no, I mean,
Penis
it's called a
car
penis
wash.
hug, but we just called it hugs.
Of course,
Right?
If you're in it, if you don't know any better, they're just hugs.
That's what.
There was a priest who took I never went, that took the kids at our Catholic school in Chicago, I guess my brother's age, like the 7th graders, and it was like mandatory skinny dipping.
Oh,
Like in a lake.
Wow.
And it was just like, and nobody ever got touched in that moment, but it's still wrong to do that.
absolutely.
Yeah, that's
I would
not.
say.
'Cause he's like, no, you don't need to
Just
bring
as
that.
easy to say bring your swimsuit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my brother's like, I don't want to go. And my dad's like, no, you don't have to go.
Like I was a Boy Scout. I was a
very
altar boy,
prone,
and
yeah.
I never got touched.
Well, you were just dancing all through. I mean, you
went through that fucking gauntlet of pedophilia.
You just like strapped on a jacket made out of steaks and walked through Lion Country Safari, and somehow you made it through to the other side. That's not bad.
You weren't curious.
But so did I. I mean, like I guess I did too. I was a Cub Scout, and I was an altar boy, and
I
did it
picture
all.
you being an Eagle Scout. You never had any interest.
no, I didn't know.
I was almost an Eagle Scout. Then
Really?
then they required the physical fitness merit.
The problem is the Eagle Scout kids were too intense.
Yeah.
For me, it was a different kind of intensity. I was a chess club nerd, D&D. Like I didn't,
my dad's always like regretted me not becoming an Eagle Scout.
Was he an Eagle Scout?
He was one of the Scoutmasters.
Oh.
So it was really, when I left, I got a girlfriend, and then I was like, I'm not going to Boy Scout meetings anymore.
Yeah.
I can see boobs whenever I want.
Yeah, exactly.
And then I just
Why do I have
sort
to tie neckerchiefs?
And my friend John back home one day, my dad was around, and we were there, and he was like, so are you really as mad as Matt says about him not becoming an Eagle Scout? And he goes, no. And then about 2 minutes of silence passed, and then he goes, but he was really close.
You can't let it go.
All right, so we're gonna get you off AOL. We're gonna change your Twitter screen name. We're gonna put you in the Eagle Scouts.
Yes. Let's get me 1,000 followers on Twitter. Let's do
Could
that
you
right
go
now.
back? That's
All
a
right,
sitcom.
let's-
go back to finish your Eagle Scout thing. That'd be a good sitcom.
That would
Do
be
it.
amazing.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
We'll
Don't
get-
steal this idea.
yeah, I'm sure no one's gonna steal the idea.
Yeah.
But yes, we want to help Matt. Are you Matt Myra or Matthew Myra?
I'm Matt Myra.
Matt Myra.
M-I-
M-I-R-A.
Okay.
Follow Matt Myra on Twitter so we can get him 1,000 followers
And
that
then
he wants
after I
for
get
some
1,000
reason.
and you see that I have 1,000, don't bother. I don't want it.
Well, that's not. I mean,
Oh no, fine. All
now
right,
you're
fine.
just shitting on people who want to help you.
You probably have
Please.
10,000
Please.
at least.
He's got.
Don't tell me you have 1 million.
He's got over.
Do you have 1 million?
1.3 million.
Oh my fucking god!
How many
does
do
that
you have, Matt?
I only have like I'm almost at 4,000.
Okay, I want.
And you've made it difficult for people to find you, so
I
that's
know.
actually quite a
Let's
feat.
get Matt Walsh.
Don't
10,000.
say that, Chris. I
It
did
is.
nothing. No,
It is.
it's not 1 million.
It is.
That's
it's
ridiculous.
insane.
Listen, I don't. I'm not trying to win
Let's
this
talk about
nerd
you,
kissing
Twitter
contest.
god.
We're all equal here.
Would you be in the top, say, 100 people with that kind of number?
Actually, I don't know if I am. to be honest.
Because there are corporations that have like.
Well, Ashton Kutcher's got like 5 million or something crazy like
Lady
that.
Gaga has like something like 8 or 12.
Does she? Yeah, I don't.
all right.
I don't know. So
But how many Lady Gagas and Kutchers are out there? That's it.
I think just Lady
Do you
Gaga
think
and Kutcher.
if she
That's
gets
2.
married, is he Lord Gaga?
Yes, Lord and Lady Gaga.
I don't know.
Well, Matt Walsh, thank you very much for being
Thank
on
you.
our podcast. People will hopefully find you on your new Twitter username
Matthew
after
Paul
we.
Walls for
Matthew
now.
Paul Walls.
For now,
Twitter. Yes.
By the time this comes out, it might be different
may
if we
change.
do our jobs properly.
Let's get Matt 5,000 and me 1,000.
Okay.
Come on, nerdists. You guys can do it.
All right, and I want 10 million. Is that too much
Let's
to ask
get Chris
for?
10 million.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Give it time.
The end.
Now leaving Nerdist.com.